What's up, guys? This is Brave, and I'm back with another review of Ready to Love, The Last Resort. This has been episode 10, and this episode was very interesting because the beginning of the episode was very heavy and tough to watch, and then by the end of the episode, baby, I have some opinions. So let's go ahead and break this down. Oh, also, I know that I didn't review the last episode 9, so I might throw a few opinions from that episode in here, but it'll all make sense. All right, so let's go ahead and break this down. So the episode begins with Joy and Jay, and they're just flirting with each other, and honestly, they are really cute together. Now, we know that in the last episode, Jay, he basically made his decision for sure by letting Winter know that she was going to be number 2. And I feel like Winter has always known that she was number 2. So I don't even know why she kept pursuing Jay after a certain point, because he definitely made that clear. And on this episode, he was fully into Joy, and there was no going back. So the next scene we see, it is Khalfani and Denice. They're having a conversation, and Denice is basically letting him know, like, I'm not going to pursue you any longer. I want to focus on Anthony. And in the midst of her having this conversation, she's like, oh, I'm breaking up with you or whatever. And the way that she said it, it was definitely a joke. Denice did not say it in like a "you're my boyfriend, this is serious" type of tone. And I hate that later in this episode, Khalfani really, he pissed me off, okay? He really made it seem like as if she was acting as if they were in some type of real relationship. I mean, basically, Denice just wanted him to choose her. And as we know, he has been going back and forth between her and Adriana. And I mean, if you guys can see me, I'm doing air quotes when I'm saying between her and Adriana, because he has definitely chosen Adriana. He chose Adriana like 4 episodes ago. He was just stringing Denice along this whole time, as I've said in my other reviews, because he knew that Denice was always going to be in his pocket. He knew that since day one, Denice was feeling him. So therefore, he saw Adriana. Oh wait, that's actually what I want to go for, but I'm going to keep Denice right in my pocket because I know she ain't going nowhere. But now, since Denice is like, I want to feel wanted, I'm going to now let him know that no, I'm going to, put my feelings elsewhere. I'm not going to focus on him. You guys, he definitely showed his true colors this episode, because later in this episode, when he has that conversation with Anthony, all of that was unnecessary. So, because actually, even through this conversation that he has with Denice, though, he just seemed like he's really cool with it. Like, oh, okay, well, I kind of already chose Adriana, so he really wasn't phased. In her face, he wasn't phased by the fact that she's choosing another guy. But even on their last date, if you guys recall, he was talking about how she's so jealous, and how, since he's a trainer, would she be, very jealous and all these things. If you guys have noticed that, Khalfani has talked about Denice's jealousy for so many episodes, right? On every episode, when they get into that room and it's the guy's turn to eliminate somebody, he's always throwing out how Denice is jealous. She hasn't been jealous for 3 weeks, but I'm still gonna say that she's jealous. I feel like he just wanted to get rid of her at some point, but he didn't want to be the guy who did it. I think that is what is happening with Khalfani. I feel like Khalfani wanted to get rid of Denice, but he did not want to be the guy who did it. For example, with all the times that he said that, she's jealous in that room with Tommy, I think he was expecting for at some point the other guys were going to be like, well, you know what? If she has all this going on, we should just go ahead and send her home. Or he was expecting for at some point Anthony to be like, oh, well, I'm not feeling Denice anymore either because she's acting the same way with me. So yeah, we can go ahead and send her home. But you know, we're going to get a little bit further into that as the episode goes on and I talk about it. All right, you guys. So this is where the show gets very heavy because we learn that, unfortunately, Joy's sister passed away. And, honestly, my thoughts and prayers definitely go out to Joy and her family because that is a very hard loss to lose your sibling. I don't know that pain myself personally, but I can only imagine, you know, how that must feel. We do get a scene with Tommy talking to Jay, and, you know, he's just basically telling Jay, you know, this is going to be hard for her, and you need to try to, you know, be there for her and have her think of like all the good times that she had with her sister. And I think that Jay definitely took all of that in, especially with his decision that he made later on in this episode. So we also see the whole group get together, and Tommy has to let the group know that Joy's sister passed away. I think that none of the guys knew besides Jay, and you could definitely tell that Winter knew. I think all the ladies might have known, actually, because I feel like Denice, well, no, maybe not Denice, because I feel like she kind of, you know, felt emotional after Tommy said something, and I definitely think that Adriana knew as well. So I'm going to, like, assume that maybe all the ladies were situated on one side of the resort, and then, like, the guys were on the other side. They probably, you know, the ladies talked. So after that, I will say that, like, for me, the show got a little bit weird because everyone started to hug each other, and it definitely put a lot of things into perspective for a lot of people. I mean, we even saw Winter and Denice walking and talking, which I have never seen them in a scene together talking to each other. And, you know, they were just saying how this situation with Joy leaving because of her sister's passing, it put a lot of things into perspective for a lot of people. So Tommy doesn't even have, you know, like a task for them to do right now because of this news. So everyone is just kind of on like the lay low, relax mode. We do get a scene of Winter having a conversation with Edwin, and, you know, she just went to check on him to see how he was because, as we all know, Joy was his number one. Even though on last week's episode, I will say that it seemed like they kind of had like a little breakup because they were talking to each other and they were talking about how even if she didn't choose Edwin, he would still, you know, care about her, and he would want to keep her basically as a friend because she has changed his life. As we all know, he really cared about Joy. And this episode, you can just tell that he didn't have a reason to stay. Like, right when that news dropped, I feel like Edwin knew that it was time for him to go because he had no other connections. Honestly, I don't even understand when the situation with him and Winter just automatically stopped. Like, they literally went on that double date with her and with Joy and Jay, and after that date, he never went back to talk to Winter. Did anybody else notice that? Like, he completely just stopped pursuing her, and at least we didn't see it where they had like a conversation or he said that he wasn't going to pursue her anymore. Like, after that double date, it automatically jumped to Winter's now pursuing Anthony. Like, I don't know how that happened, but I'm getting too caught up on the past. Let me go ahead and continue with this episode. So actually, you guys, I just realized that I mixed up my scenes with Denice and Khalfani. I guess I got so worked up about the whole situation that happened this episode. But actually, I just want to mention one thing about the scene that they had at the top of the show. In that scene, that is basically when she found out that she was number 2. And in her mind, Denice has always felt like she was number 1 for Khalfani. But I definitely think that since these last episodes that we've seen, she knows that he's put in more effort with Adriana. I mean, we did not see him like really interact with Denice for like 3-4 episodes. But, you know, she kept rooting for him, is, you know, saying that she cared about him. Hey, baby, he played her, honestly. Now, I will say that I gave Denice a side eye when she was saying that, you know, she was starting to love Khalfani. But here's the thing that I keep saying in my reviews. These ladies come on this show and they take the title of the show like serious. They are ready to love. The guys come on this show and they are ready to like. Like, honestly, now that we're getting so close to the end of the season, I'm like, none of these people, I feel like they're going to date for like a few weeks and then this is going to be over. I don't see anything long term because the ladies, they have done the work. The ladies have been to therapy. The ladies have, you know, they've been through enough. They've been through enough garbage guys. And now they're really ready to settle down. They're ready to have children. The guys are just there to see, oh, who likes me? Oh, this girl likes me. Wait, that girl likes me. Let's just see which one I like even more. But they're not exactly putting in the effort to really find someone they truly love. And that is one thing that I've definitely noticed about this show. Now, back to this second scene with Khalfani and Denice. Another thing that's so funny to me is that she wanted Khalfani to fight for her. And that has been a common thing on this season of this show. Because Winter has said the same exact thing about totally different guys. So, I honestly feel like within this season, the guys were definitely BSing because there should not be this many love triangles at this point. And at the end of the day, every woman wants to be chosen. Every woman wants to be number 1, not your second choice, not your third. I guess I could go with her. Nobody wants to be that. And Khalfani, he definitely didn't step up to the plate and be like, oh, wait, you're going to pursue Anthony? I think we can still, you know, try to make this work. Nope. He just let it go. And at that point, Denice had no other choice but to really pursue Anthony because Khalfani didn't care anymore. So in this next scene, we see Jay. He's having a conversation with Winter, and he's letting her know that he's decided that he's going to go home and, you know, be with Joy. He wants to make sure she's okay, and he's basically decided that Joy's the one that he should have been pursuing this whole time instead of wasting Winter's time like he did the rest of the season. And he's going to bow out. He's going to leave the show. She's okay with it because honestly, she knew that he did not want her because last week's episode, they literally went on a date and she's like, well, why haven't you kissed me yet? He gives her like some little peck on the cheek. She didn't want that. And he even let her know that she was number 2. I mean, honestly, Jay has let her know that she was number 2 on multiple occasions at this point. She should have been let him go. So then Jay, he goes on to tell the rest of the cast that he's leaving to be with Joy. And, you know, everyone understood because, again, who else would he still be here for? Like, honestly, at this point of the show, we have come down to, like, if certain people aren't here anymore, that sends a bunch of people home. Like, now that Joy was gone, there was no point of Jay being there and no point of Edwin being there. Which, as we know, he ends up self-eliminating in this episode. Edwin does, because why else would he be here? He didn't make a connection with Denice. He never made a connection, with Adriana. And out of nowhere, like I mentioned earlier, him and Winter, that just like fizzled out very fast. I don't even know when that happened. So, the next scene, guys, that's the one that really pissed me off. So we see Khalfani. He's having a conversation with Anthony. He's just basically trying to see where Anthony's head at, considering Denice is no longer interested in Khalfani. So, Anthony, he's playing it cool this whole time until Khalfani opens up his big mouth and he's like, well, Denice, she broke up with me and she, acted like we were in this relationship and all this stuff. Then he further lets Anthony know that she said she was falling in love with you. All this stuff just running his mouth. And I'm like, Khalfani, go mind your business. Khalfani, go find Adriana. Khalfani, go get you some business for yourself. Because nothing that you said should have been told to Anthony from your mouth. At the end of the day, she was telling you that she was no longer pursuing you because she found another guy that she was interested in. That does not mean that you need to go talk to the other guy and be like, well, she told me this, so you need to watch out for that. Like, nothing that she said warranted you to go over there and have a conversation with Anthony. You should have gone ahead and minded your business. So we now see Winter. She's having a conversation with Denice about Anthony because they have that guy in common. And, Winter, she has no other guy that she can choose, so she's going with Anthony now that Jay is gone. And Denice is just letting her know that, she's falling for Anthony, I think she said that she's like falling in love with Anthony. And I get it. Denice, I need you to stop throwing that love word around. But at the same time, if you guys recall from the last episode, she did pretty much let us all know that she hasn't really been in love with anyone in 20 years. So, and I feel like what she means by that is that she has not had a real adult relationship. So therefore, now that she's actually talking to someone and they're supposed to be ready to love, and she is ready to love, her emotions are reacting a lot faster. And I know that she's talked about her being in an abusive relationship. Now, I don't know when that was. I don't know if that was 20 years ago, or if this happened within these last 20 years, but she's not counting that relationship in her list of relationships that she's had because it was a terrible relationship. Why would I even include that? So after this conversation, Winter is kind of giving her the side eye because she's like, oh, so now you love Anthony? And like I said, I just kind of wish that Denice wouldn't have said the word love because now everyone is acting all crazy. So after Winter has had this conversation with Denice, now she heads over to Anthony to have a conversation. And I'm like, I am tired of these little side conversations that are happening at this point. Because we have seen Anthony and Khalfani. We've seen Denice and Winter, now Winter and Anthony. I'm just like, y'all could have had one big powwow and we could have been done. But anyways, they basically have a conversation where Winter is checking in to see how he feels about her. One thing that I have noticed about Winter, as beautiful as she is, like, she has checked in with every guy. Like, and what I mean by that is, when it came to Jay, she would always do these random check-ins because she wants to know where she stands. she really has an issue with not being someone's number one. And I get it. Nobody, like I said, nobody wants to be someone's number two. But like the whole situation with her, that her, Jay, and Joy situation, she always wanted to be number one. Like, so she would check in with Jay. Why don't you kiss me? Am I still on your top list? Am I still on your top list? Is Joy number one or am I number one? So now she has this thing with Denice. So of course she's going to go check in with Anthony. Oh, I just want to see where your head is at. Am I still on your list? Am I still on your list? And it's like, girl, chill out a little bit. Relax. So basically, he is letting her know, Anthony is, that, you know, he wants to really go forward with this with her. And even in his confessional, he's like, these last 48 hours have changed things, you know, since Jay left. And, you know, now me and Winter have clarity. I said, clarity? Sir, y'all are the settlers. What are you talking about? You guys both settled. She had nowhere else to go. Like, literally, with Jay leaving, Winter had no other choice but Anthony. No other choice. And because Khalfani decided to go blab his big mouth to Anthony, he chose not to be interested in Denice anymore. He completely just shut that off for no reason. So instead of going to talk to Denice, you know, and keeping things straightforward with her, he's had conversations with everybody else but Denice until the very end of this episode. But we'll get there. So we next see a cute little scene with Rashid and Adriana. They're having a little date playing Jenga. And he basically lets her know that you have been in my top this whole time. Actually, no. You've been basically the only girl that I've been interested in. And I put all my eggs in one basket. Am I still your top guy? Am I still your number one? Baby, she decided to go all around the world with that answer, and she still was not straightforward. Like, just tell him if he's number two at this point. We all know that you have far more interest in Khalfani than you have in Rashid. Because remember, he was the safe guy. Like, she literally called Rashid safe because she went out on one date with him, you guys. Not that she knew him for years. Not that she really knew his personality. She went on one date with him before, and therefore he was the safe guy. Whatever, Adriana. Honestly, I really wish that Simone and Rashid would have been a thing. I just feel like those two would have got along better. Hell, actually, I would have preferred if Rashid and Denice would have gave it a shot, because I feel like those two were actually there trying to find love. A lot of other people that are on this show who are left, I feel like everybody just wanted to make it to the end. But whatever. So this next scene is another scene that pissed me off this episode. It was a little date that Denice and Anthony had. And Denice is she's finally expressing to Anthony that she's choosing to move forward with him and not with Khalfani anymore. That's basically what she wanted to do within this scene. So they're having, remind you, they're having a cute little date. And because Khalfani has already told Anthony this information, he now has a little attitude. I mean, not even an attitude, but he acted real different. Because at one point, she's just telling him how, you know, things with you, we've had conversations and things have been effortless. And he's like, oh, has it? I've just been me. And it's like, dude, don't do that. Like, don't do that. Because she clearly does not know that you've had this conversation with Khalfani. So she's coming to you to let you know, I'm no longer interested in Khalfani. I want to focus on you. I want to build something with you. I want to see where this goes. And because she let Khalfani know that she was falling for you and wanted to put her interest in you, you decided to shut down. you let Khalfani get your ear. Like, that made no sense to me. I'm sorry. I've just realized, Anthony, you were not even really interested in Denice, if that's the case. Because as a man, after Khalfani had a conversation with you, you should have went to go have a conversation with Denice. Like, hey, I just had a conversation with Khalfani. This is what he's telling me. Can you just, express to me what you meant by that? That's how a real man would handle that situation. But I feel like Anthony is another one of these people who just wants to make it to the end by any means necessary. So we see a scene with everyone meeting with Tommy, who's left, because, it's only a handful of people. And he's basically letting them know that next week they're going to be meeting people's family members, and that these love triangles need to stop being triangles, because at this point we're so close to the end. And this is something that I've said in my other reviews. Why is it that this season everybody was in a love triangle? Like, we did not get any people who coupled off and was like, you know what, this is my person, besides, what was it, Nia and Chris, which then Nia became a flip-flopper just because that man wanted to split the damn mortgage. And I guess you can kind of say Joy and Jay, because he wasn't really paying no never mind to Winter at a certain point. But no, that was still a love triangle. Everybody else has been in this love triangle. And like I've said before, how many episodes are we in? At this point, we're on episode 10, guys. How is it that we don't have official couples who are actually trying to make something happen? You know what I'm saying? But anyways, after Tommy says all this, the group breaks up and they're doing whatever. And Anthony asks to speak to Denice. And this is when he decides to let her know that he had a conversation with Khalfani. I'm sorry, but Anthony, you could have told her this when you had that little date with her. You did not have to bust her out. First of all, you basically bust her out in front of everybody, because they were at that little bar section of this resort and everybody else was just sitting on the couch. So they were 10 steps away. So, they weren't allowed having this conversation, but still. He's letting her know that he's going to move forward with Winter, and how, he wasn't basically feeling Denice anymore, all because of that crap that Khalfani said. And she took it, she didn't have an attitude. She wasn't tripping about it. And then when Anthony was like, well, Khalfani feels like, and she's like, oh, well, if Khalfani has something to tell me, he can tell me himself. And then Anthony gets up to go get Khalfani. I'm like, dude, you're whack. You are really whack. So he goes and gets Khalfani, and she's like, okay, so you have something to tell me, because the way Anthony kind of set it up, he made it seem like Khalfani had a lot of things to say, when that wasn't even factual, because him and Denice had already had that conversation. So, he just reiterates that he's going to go ahead and go with Adriana. She's like, okay, well, it's all love. I'm not about to trip off of this. She exits the show. And honestly, I hate the way that Denice had to exit the show, because if that was the case, she could have left earlier in this episode. She did not have to stay here to hear about the family that's going to come in or anything like that. Literally, Anthony could have told her this when they had their little date. That's all he had to do. Because you sat in her face, you made her think that, oh yeah, so now we're on the same page, because I'm focused on him, and, he is not denying that we're going to work on this together. And that ain't what happened at all. He knew that he was going to choose Winter after that conversation with Khalfani. But whatever. Also, in that scene, I did not like the fact that Anthony went over, after he told Khalfani to go talk to Denice, he went over to Winter and is like, well, I just went to go talk to Denice and I let her know that I'm focusing on you. And she's like, oh, okay. And she's all happy. And they're like having this conversation right in front of like Rashid and Adriana. And we all know that Adriana was probably bursting at the seams with so much excitement that Denice finally went home. But as we know, next week, she gonna have to make a decision between Rashid and Khalfani. I mean, at this point, I don't know who she's going to choose, but I would hope that she would choose Khalfani because I think that Rashid deserves better. Sorry, I have to say it. Rashid deserves better than Adriana. And Winter and Anthony, I feel like they both just settled so that they can make it to the end of the show. And I really hope that Denice does find love because she deserves it. I mean, it's been 20 years since she said she's been in love, and I feel like she was actually ready to love. And unfortunately, that just didn't happen with this show. Who else left? Oh, and Edwin. I would hope that Edwin, he finds love in someone who can actually be there for him and also accept him for who he is, including his PTSD. Because I'm sorry to bring this up, but I kind of hate the fact that he was labeled as a person who wasn't ready to love because he had PTSD. And my issue with that is because I get it. He only went to one therapy session, but as we know, he was very open to therapy. He said he would not mind going back to therapy. My problem is that all the ladies basically just kind of shut him down after that. It was like, oh, no, he needs therapy? We got to shut it down. I'm sorry, but no man is going to be perfect. At the end of the day, every person has their issues. Every person has their problems. And to say someone isn't ready to love because they have something like PTSD because they fought in a war, like, I'm sorry, but I just feel like I don't feel comfortable saying he wasn't ready to love. Like, everybody has something they need to work on with themselves. That doesn't mean that their heart isn't open to love. Let me go ahead and wrap this video on out. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Go ahead and like, comment, share, and subscribe. I would really appreciate that. And let me know your thoughts on this episode, guys. What did you guys think of Denice and this triangle with Khalfani and Anthony? Do we think that Winter and Anthony are going to last? And who do you guys think Adriana is going to choose? Khalfani or Rashid in the next episode? And on that note, I'm going to wrap this up, guys. Don't know what I'll be reviewing next because I usually review sisters. If anyone has any suggestions, let me know in the comments below. And until next time, guys, bye.